Okay, we are on Perek. What happened over here? Oh, sorry, I got the wrong paper here. 1 second. Okay. Perek Lamed Hey Pasuk Lamed 3530. 3530, which is page 520. Thank you. Okay. So the Torah says like this. Oh, by the way, before I this is very important announcement. I have the for the Haggadah of Pesach, I have something called the Haggadah Rhymes, where I've put most of the Haggadah, or a good part of the Haggadah, where each section I introduce it with a poem, with a rhyme, because I always struggled at the Pesach Seder to keep everybody interested, and I found that this worked better than anything else. So, for example, like I'll introduce, like Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah had a beard, but something about it was pretty weird. There you go, and everybody feels really smart when they're able to guess the rhyme words and that sort of thing. And I try to introduce what's happening in each section, and I have of the Haggadah. So that's available at davidbkaplan.com. B as in baseball, basketball, badminton, busted bridges in Baltimore. davidbkaplan.com is the Haggadah rhymes, and it's a it was the best thing I ever did for the Pesach Seder. Pesach Seder is very challenging because you have different people at different ages. Some people want to move faster, some people want to move slower. Some people are interested, some people are not interested. So I always struggled with the Pesach. The Pesach Seder, what I found for many people is a letdown, because there's a lot of cleaning and preparing and getting ready. And then you get to the Seder, people are hungry, people are tired, it's dragging, somebody's got too much to say, that sort of thing. And I found that for my family, that the best thing that worked, and I started doing this just as an introduction to what's actually happening in the particular, what do you call it? Maybe I'll bring it into in next week. I'll do a few examples of it. And I found that it keeps the kids interested, and more importantly, it keeps the adults interested. You can't imagine how good they feel when they get to guess the rhyme word. Right? So really, they finally, got nailed that one, So what do you call it?
You have the guide also, how to run.
How to run. There's actually a video. There's Ohr Somayach. We did a video a few years ago where I go through there are 2 videos available. One of them is where I go through the Seder, the actual steps of the Seder, which we videoed it, going through each step what the Seder is. There's another video of going through the Haggadah, just interesting ideas from the Haggadah. So those are 2 videos that are available on the Ohr Somayach. That's idea. It should be on the Ohr Somayach website. Okay, top of page 520. Vayomer Moshe el bnei Yisrael, Re'u kara Hashem b'shem B'tzalel ben Uri ben Chur l'mata Yehuda. Moshe says to the bnei Yisrael, look, Hashem has designated B'tzalel, the son of Uri, the son of Chur, from the tribe of Yehuda. Now we pointed out that he's going to be the architect of the Mishkan, and part of the reason that he's chosen as the architect is because look who his grandfather is. His grandfather is Chur, and we know that Chur was the one who was killed at the golden calf, at the Egel. So since the Mishkan is an atonement for the golden calf, so it's the grandson of Chur who stood up against the Jewish people at the golden calf who's going to be the architect. And we said that his son Uri, why isn't Uri the architect? What's that? Well, a good question, right? Because Uri is still in his year of mourning for his father. A grandson is not mourning for the father, for the grandfather. You're sad, but he's not got official halachic status of a mourner, whereas Uri is the son. He's a mourner. A mourner is in a state where there's no simcha. He has to do the Mishkan out of a state of simcha. It has to be done with simcha. Therefore, Uri, that's what the Mepharshim say. That's why it was B'tzalel, not Uri. Now, B'tzalel is all 13 years old. But he's got the ability to build the Mishkan, and therefore he's chosen. And the lesson is that if you do have a talent that you could use in Avodas Hashem, whatever the talent happens to be, then a person should channel their talents into Avodas Hashem. Whether your talent is, if you have an excellent voice, so you should be a chazan. Doesn't mean you have to become a professional chazan, but you should daven for the Yom on Shabbos, Yantiv, sing. The Gemara says that I think there was a man named Navos who had a great voice, and they told him to go up to Yerushalayim and sing. Go up to Yerushalayim and sing during the three pilgrimages, the three regalim, the Shoshes regalim, the pilgrimages when they went up to Yerushalayim. If you have a good voice, honor Hashem with your voice. Don't get carried away with yourself. Like the Chazan said to the rabbi, Rabbi, I want to tell you, when I'm the Chazan and I get kind of, it's kind of going to my head a little bit. I'm pretty impressed with myself. So the rabbi says, if you get too impressed with yourself, just turn around and look at the congregation laughing at you. That should humble you, right? So but if you have a pleasant voice and you can sing, so that's something that's a talent to be used. If you've got administrative ability to help a yeshiva, administrative crowdfunding, is that what you call it? Raising money, crowdfunding, what we call schnorring. Now they call it crowdfunding, right? If you have the ability to, what do you call it? To raise money, if you have the ability to teach, whatever ability that you have, if you could channel that ability into avodas Hashem, like a B'Tzalel uses ability, yeah.
What if it's someone's born beautiful, like a beautiful woman or a beautiful man? How could they use that?
I always had this problem. What do you call it? I had to work on myself. So that's not necessarily a talent. That's a fact. And the person, a beautiful woman, has a challenge. And one of her challenges is to not distract men. And there's a Gemara that says one of the Amoraim, he saw a girl who was davening every day. Please, Ribbona, a beautiful girl who was davening. Please, Ribbona Shalom, help me that no men should stumble because of me.
You should put on that Muslim thing, cover.
He doesn't have to do that. Put a, what do you call it, a burqa, that sort of thing. A handsome man doesn't have as much of a problem, other than not allowing himself to get carried. The Gemara says that Shimon HaTzadik once met a Nazarite. A guy came to him with kind of long curly hair, very handsome guy, and he said he wants to be a Nazir. He said, why do you want to cut your hair? The Nazir's going to have to cut his hair. He says, because I was a shepherd and I was by the river, and I looked into the river and I saw a reflection of myself, and I saw that I'm pretty handsome. And my Yetzer Hara started up with me and wanted to destroy me in this world. My Yetzer Hara was speaking to me, was like, hey, you go out and have a good time. And therefore I decided that I want to become a Nazirite and shave my hair, l'shem shamayim, so I should get control over myself. So Shimon HaTzadik was very impressed with him. So if a person is extremely, it cuts into, it's an important question you're asking. Sometimes a talent is a challenge. Remember we spoke about witchcraft? Witchcraft. Witchcraft is forbidden, and is punishable by skila. It's a relative of idol worship. Witchcraft is a cousin. I'm talking about authentic witchcraft here, supernatural witchcraft. So one of the questions people ask is, well, if it's forbidden, why would? And it's an ability. It's a gifted ability that a person has. Not everybody who wants to become a witch could become one. He has to have a certain amount of natural ability. Well, if it's forbidden, why does Hashem give them the natural ability? The answer to that is that sometimes ability is a challenge. A woman with a magnificent voice. Here we're talking about a chazan. What about a woman with a gifted, magnificent voice? That's a major challenge for women, because a woman cannot sing in front of men. There's a woman who wants to go on Broadway, and she can't. She's limited. And what could she do? She could sing for other women, shkoyach. And she's going to sing for for women. Or go sing in an old age home where they can't really hear you that well anyway. That's different. That's different than performing in a stadium and performing on Broadway. And for a man, it's also, there happens to be a Jewish guy now, Shalom Lemmer, who sang the Star Spangled Banner at one of the ball games. Yeah, he's saying this right. And this guy's he got a contract for one of the movie companies. He's a guy's off the he's just off the chart. But it's a difficult, it's a challenging business. So sometimes a talent could be a challenge. Sometimes it could be both at the same time. It could be two things at the same time. On the one hand, you should use your excellent voice to be a chazan. On the other hand, don't let it go to your head. It's a challenge because you got a great voice. Some of these guys have unbelievable voices. Well, okay, keep it under control. Okay, it's a voice. Okay, you got a gift. Yeah, Hashem gave you a gift. Okay. Oh, a woman has to be careful. All women have to be careful. A woman, we find this, that Sarah Imenu, who's the most beautiful woman in history, and Sarah Imenu, or one of the four most beautiful women in history, Sarah Imenu kept herself in the tent. When the angels came, she was in the tent. I mean, beautiful women want to go out there and be looked at. I remember my 8th grade teacher was a woman, a secular Jewish woman. She said, and I was in 8th grade, she said, all girls want to be looked at. And to me, that was a big chiddush. But she said, all girls want to be, which is true. It's a temptation. It's a very big temptation. So that's a test. That's a test. But if a person has a talent, use the talent. Okay. Go down to Perek Lamed Vav Pasuk Zayin. It was very interesting now. Page, where is it? Lamed Vav. Oh, it is on 12. I've taught it yet. Okay. So the people start donating. And Moshe calls them in, and then pick it up on Pasuk Gimel. We'll read a few psukim here. Pick it up on Pasuk Gimel. It's about 13 lines from the top. I'm having a bad day today. No, it's 15 lines from the top. Last word on the light. Vayichlu milifnei Moshe es kol hatruma. The architects go and they take all the donated materials. Asher heviu b'nei Yisrael lemleches avodas hakodesh lasos. So they take all the materials. You're talking about gold, silver. Vehem heviu elav od nedava baboker. And people continue donating. Vayavo kol hachachamim haosim es melechet kol meleches hakodesh. All the wise men who were involved in this holy work, each man came from his particular field, from his particular area where they're working. Vayomru el Moshe, pasuk hey, marbim ha'am le'avi. The people are bringing a lot, midei ha'avoda, more than we need, la malacha asher tziva Hashem lazo. The people are bringing too much, too many donations. Vayetzav, could you imagine? I mean, this, again, you're asking Jews for a donation, and now at a certain point you say, "Hey, enough." Vayetzav Moshe ve'aviru kol b'machane. Moshe sends out an announcement. Lamor, ish ve'isha al yasu od melacha l'trumas hakodesh. No more donating. Vayikolei ha'am mehavi. The people stop bringing. Okay, so the people brought a tremendous amount. Now, well, let's go to this is the post I want to get to. The materials were enough for all the work that needed to be done, the hoser, and even more. Sounds like an internal contradiction here. It says they were sufficient, then it says, and there was excess. So was it sufficient or was it excess? Was it sufficient or was it excess?
Excessively sufficient.
Excessively sufficient. Right. Now what does that mean? All right. So what does that mean? It was sufficient, it was enough, and there was even more. Okay.
More than sufficient.
It was more than sufficient. So there are different opinions here. One opinion is that they brought too much, but in order that it miraculously all got used. That nobody should feel that his donation wasn't used. On the other hand, nobody should feel, if not for me, it wouldn't have gotten done. Right? There was enough. There was more than enough. And what if you wouldn't have brought? We would have had enough. But everybody brought, so we're going to use it all. But don't think that if not for me, it wouldn't have happened. Number one. Number two, there's another question here we'll get to in a second. You guys have been at a Shabbos meal? Okay. Now, you've been away for a Shabbos. Okay. You're the hostess. How do you know, if you're the hostess, if there's been enough food? Yes.
Wait, what if the food's not good?
That's the alternative, right? If there's food left over, it could be one of two things. It could be either that the food wasn't good, but if you see that most of the food got eaten ravenously, and there, two last pieces of chicken on the tray, or a couple of lonely potatoes in the pot, and Everybody seems to have been eaten. They're all leaning back, clutching their bellies, ready to roll away from the Shabbos table like we always are, right? Where we basically eat ourselves to a standstill. You know, it says in the Gemara that after you eat, you shouldn't go to sleep until you've walked Dalit Amos, which is about 6 feet. Right? Doesn't sound like much. Doesn't sound like much until you've had Cholt on Shabbos. Then you think, 6 feet? Are you kidding? I got to get all the way to there. You know, yeah, I even have a chair that leans all the way back. You know, and you're not supposed to. You're supposed to get up and walk. You're supposed to get up and walk Dalit Amos. So yeah, call it walking, call it staggering, whatever it is, to the nearest horizontal soft surface, right? But at the end of the day, how do you know? How did she know if you've made enough? Because if nothing's left, then they always walk away thinking to themselves, what, it was all finished? All the chicken was finished? Boy, I don't know if there was enough, right? So the telltale sign is that there are a couple of pieces left. That's what the Torah is telling you. How do you know there was enough? Because there's some was left over. That's how you know. There was dye. How do you know it was dye? Mahosar, because some of it was left over. Reb Chaim Kanievsky, by the way, he once went to sleep. He wasn't feeling well, so he got into bed, and he ate supper, and then he got into bed. Then somebody in the family saw Reb Chaim got up, and he walked across the room, and then he walked back to his bed. So they said to him, "Why did you do that?" He says, "Because the Gemara says you should walk 4 amos after you eat." He said, "Yeah, but you did walk 4 amos. The kitchen's over there, and your room's over here." He says, "Yeah, but that wasn't my intent. My intent was to get into bed. After I got into bed, my intent was to get up. I got up and I walked just to fulfill the Gemara, that the Gemara says you should walk, because if Chazal say to do it, you should do it." See? Huh? It's not a halacha. You're not transgressing, but it's something that, like, the Gemara gives often many pieces of health advice. There's certain health advice. The Gemara says you should eat bread in the morning. The Gemara says a hot shower at night. A hot shower is refreshing. That sort of thing. So Gemara often gives these sort of pieces of advice.
Is it a suda with bread meal that you should walk 4 amos, or any?
It doesn't say. Generally, what you would call a heavy meal. What you call a heavy meal. Okay, that's now. Take a look at the next pasuk. Vayasu kol chacham leiv beosei habalacha es hamishkan es yirios. Now you'll notice over here that we switch from the plural to the singular. So 10 lines from the bottom. Pasuk ches. Vayasu, they did, kol chacham leiv. Now really it should say Vayasu kol chachmei leiv. It should be the plural. And therefore, why is it Vayasu kol chacham leiv? Each individual. Each individual did it. So, and again, it should either be Vayas kol chacham leiv or Vayasu kol chachmei leiv. Why does it Vayasu is the plural and chacham is the singular? Chacham leiv is the singular. Why is that? So the part of the Mefarshim say over here, imagine you have a lot of people who are involved in a project. What can often happen, or what does happen? People sometimes get caught up in their own job. They get caught up in their own job. This is my job. I'm not really interested in what else is going on here, as long as I do my job right. Here, the singular is to show that they're all united in the effort over here, even though you're doing an individual thing. But everybody's united in the effort. And even more than that, if you look at Pasuk Yud Aleph, it says, Vaya'as lulaos tchelas, and again, it uses the singular, 4 lines from the bottom. Vayas lulos techeles. The singular over here, the Mefarshim say, is to show that nobody relied on anybody else. That means everybody took responsibility for their job, which is a rule in life. It's a rule in life that the Gemara says, Kedera de beishutfa lo chamime velo karira. A pot that belongs to partners is neither hot nor cold. That means if something needs to be done, if I say, guys, we need to have more cups put by the coffee machine. If I come in tomorrow, there aren't going to be more cups by the coffee machine because everybody's going to think somebody else is going to do it. And the rule in life is assign somebody to do it. If you're ever sitting at a table with other people, don't say, could someone pass the ketchup? Because nobody's going to pass you the ketchup. You always pick a person. Right? Chaim, could you pass me the ketchup? Call a name. And the same thing in the house, when a mother says, my wife used to say, could somebody take the garbage? You know, there are 4 boys sitting on a couch. Could somebody take the garbage? Each one's thinking, yeah, he could. Could somebody? Yeah, if you're asking, can somebody do it? Yes, it doesn't work that way. You have to assign somebody to take the garbage. And, women are always frustrated because, doesn't anybody see the garbage needs to be taken? Yeah, we all see it. I didn't have any problem seeing it. The problem is not seeing, the problem is doing. So see, there's also a difference between daddy and mommy. Because my wife, with the women, she starts to, could somebody take this? And then 10 minutes later, it's still there. And then she starts like, am I the only one who does? One of those, goes into that song, that music. Like that, like a broken record. What I used to do, I say, could somebody take the garbage? And then I come back into the room and nobody's taking the garbage. And all I had to do is pick up the bag and start walking towards the door. No, Daddy, I'll take it. No, I'll take it. They don't want Daddy taking the garbage and coming back into the house. Right, so then that worked. That always worked, right? Yeah. Does this sound familiar? Yeah. And the mothers are always begging and pleading. Yeah, I guess I'll just have to do it all by myself. That's also frustrating, by the way. You help your wife, you're in the house, running around like crazy. It's usually Erev Shabbos. It's usually Erev Shabbos. She goes, and all of a sudden she goes, I guess I'll just have to keep doing that. I just have to do everything on my own. I'm like, oh, what am I've been working like crazy, and I took the garbage. Okay, now I'll show you something very interesting. Where is it? I just want to show you something very, very interesting here. Where is it? First of all, this I forgot to mention. There's where there's something over here I want to get to. Well, okay, give me 1 second here. Where is it? Okay, we'll get to that. The one of the questions here is like this. People are donating raw materials. Let's say you donate money to the yeshiva. Say you want to donate money to the yeshiva. And I say to you, oh, thank you very much. I appreciate your donation because we actually need some more tablecloths for the dining room. Some disposable tablecloths for the dining room. So I appreciate your donation. How would you feel about that? What? Thankful?
Yeah, I'll be like appreciate that, that it's going for something useful.
And then somebody else is donating money will say, thank you for your donation. We're going to be using it to buy a Sefer Torah. Would you still be thankful?
How much did I give?
Let's say you're both giving the same amount. You will give money. You're each going to give $25,000. Your money we're going to use for a 5-year supply of tablecloths. Your money we're going to use to buy a brand new, well-written Sefer Torah. Would you still be thankful then? Maybe less so.
Maybe less so, but it's still like they still need that money.
That wasn't my question. My question was, how will you feel? Okay. If you're giving money to the yeshiva, and I say to you, look, did you want your money to go for tablecloths or your money to go for a Sefer Torah? Then what would you say? Sefer Torah. I'll take Sefer Torah, please. Yes, I'll take Sefer Torah. Okay. Now you're donating gold to the Beis HaMikdash. Remember, you're not donating money and putting it into an account where people donate to yeshiva and it just comes out of saving out. All expenses come out of one account. You don't even know where your money is. Here you're donating raw materials. I'm donating gold. I'll take a wing, please. It's like when you're sitting at the table when they offer you a piece of chicken. A drumstick. I'll have a wing, right? Say, I'll donate my gold. I'd like it to be one of the wings of the kruvim on the Aron Kodesh. That wouldn't be bad for my gold, right? Your gold, we're going to use that as one of the bases for the fence, for the poles surrounding the Mishkan. That's where your gold is going to go. So no, I want my gold on the Aron Kodesh. You want your gold on the Aron Kodesh or on the menorah, or do you want it at the base of one of the legs of the fence? Now, I'll take menorah. I'll take Aron Kodesh, but if I can't get that, I'll take menorah, please. All right, that's what I want. Well, how do you know which gold goes where?
All melted, it's all refined.
It's all melted and all refined, but some of the melted and refined is in the menorah, and some of the melted and refined is down. The answer is that based on B'Tzalel and the B'Tzalel, when people would donate it, the level of generosity and the level of dedication was something he was able to measure. Something that we can't tell. He was able to measure from each person, you're an 8.5, you're a 9.3, we'll take that for the menorah, yours is going off on the side over there. He could actually tell based on, that's what the Mefarshim say.
So based on the generosity, he would put it
based on whatever the factors that make it l'shem shamayim, the more l'shem shamayim it was, the more pure the motivation, that's what determined where it went in the base of Mikdash. Just like you see that in a yeshiva.
Who's to say there's more important parts? I guess there is.
It's a good question. It's a good question. Why is one part more important than the other parts? But from a human perspective, there is. If I told you where it's going, you see what's more important. Yeshiva needs tablecloths. Yeshiva needs a Sefer Torah. Yeshiva can't function without it. Yeshiva can't function without it. Who's more important, the guy flying the plane or the guy who's the head steward and who's giving food to the passengers? Without food, the guys without food, you won't have passengers either, except El Al. Without food, you won't have passengers, right? So we need them both. Yeah, but I'd rather be the pilot. I'd rather be the pilot. You want to be the quarterback, or you want to be the long snapper on certain putts? And, but we're both professionals. But that's that's a slightly more prestigious position. Okay, now let's go for a second to Parshas, because we haven't done anything in Pekudei. Just one more point over here. Turn to Perek Lamed Zayin Pasuk Tes.
It's a double parsha this week?
It is a double parsha.
Wow.
Yep. It's a double parsha.
Yeah. Meaning you have new both parshas for Shnai Mikra?
Yep. Both parshas for Shnai Mikra, and I suggest you do a little bit each day. Anyway, it's a good idea each day to do it, this week especially, because you got.
That was good. I'm ready to
Yeah. Get a head start. Take a look at Perek Lamed Zayin Pasuk Tes. Okay. So here we have on page 524. Vayhi Kruvim. Talk about the Aron Kodesh. And on the Aron Kodesh you had the Kruvim. The Kruvim have the innocent face of a child. And then it says like this: Vayhi Kruvim porsei knafayim lamala. The Kruvim had their wings facing up. Sochachim bekanfeim ala kapores. Their wings kind of schach. What's schach? Schach is the canopy. Their wings formed a canopy over the kapores. Upeneim ishel achiv, facing each other, el hakapores ayupnei kruvim. They face each other kind of downwards like this. Okay. You've heard of Reb Meir Shapiro of Lublin?
Yes.
Who was he?
I don't know. This sounds familiar.
Okay, that's good enough. I heard of the guy, but I don't know what he did. So there are lots of people in history like that. So there's now you guys have heard of Lonnie Smith, right? As I mentioned yesterday. So Reb Meir Shapiro of Lublin is the innovator of the Daf Yomi. Reb Meir Shapiro of Lublin is the innovator of the Daf Yomi. He also, what people aren't aware of him, and what may have been even more significant, which often in life the things that are more significant carry less publicity. He built a yeshiva in Lublin called Chachmei Lublin. And Reb Meir Shapiro, up until that point, the yeshiva world, the way it worked is, you went off to learn somewhere, you slept on a bench in a shul, you had your meals, what they would call Essen Teg. Your meals one day a week, each day you went to a different family to partake of their food, sometimes Sometimes they didn't have a whole lot of food to give you. Sometimes they weren't very happy about feeding yeshiva guys, and sometimes you fell through the cracks and didn't have anywhere to go. And my Zaidi Olav Shalom, who was in Slobodka, so he never liked, other than coming to our house, he never liked eating out. He never liked eating out, either at his house or at our house. He never liked eating out because he was in yeshiva and he was in Europe, and he was, you got shuffled around from place to place. And the idea of going to other people's houses was anathema there. He wasn't interested. And it was very, very, to be a yeshiva bacher was very, very difficult. It was challenging. Often they had trouble finding shidduchim because girls weren't interested in marrying yeshiva guys. All you are is a bench kvetcher. You're just a guy sitting there. You're good for nothing. You can't do anything else. So the usual, what we hear nowadays being hurled at us from the left all the time, that you're not contributing to society and so on and so forth. How these people, why watching TV, contribute to society, I'm not sure. But you're not contributing to society. Okay, so what did he do? He built a yeshiva that had a kitchen, had a dormitory. It was the first one. 7 years he fundraised for this yeshiva. 7 years, it was called Yeshiva Chachmei Lublin. 200 boys got into the yeshiva. They were being tested all over Europe to be able to get into the yeshiva. You had to know 500 daf Gemara by heart. Yeah, that's a lot.
Verbatim?
Verbatim or word for word, whichever one you want. You had to know 500 pages of daf Gemara to get into this yeshiva of Chachmei Lublin. There were boys all over Europe who were trying to get in because this meant that you had a place to be and you had a place to learn with a dormitory, with a kitchen, with food. It raised the level, the stature of the yeshivas and the yeshiva world to show you that this is royalty. You also were limited. There were rules. You sleep 6 hours a night. And they were playing for keeps. In Yeshiva Chachmei Lublin, they were playing for keeps. One of the remarkable stories is that at the inauguration, after 7 years, they finally built this. But today, I think they made it a Polish nursing home or a nursing school or something. After the war, they took it over. Somebody told me they took it back now. I'm not sure exactly what the status is now. But it's a magnificent structure with several floors, completely a new concept. And Rabbi Shapiro himself was part of the Polish. He was part of the Polish Parliament. He was a member of Polish. He was a great speaker, tremendous talented individual, very well-rounded, talented individual. And he built this magnificent structure. At the inauguration, his Rebbe was the short cover Rebbe. The short cover Rebbe was Rabbi Shapiro's Rebbe, who was one of the Rebbes in Europe, was also an Adam Gadol. And at the inauguration, the short cover Rebbe was standing next to a very wealthy man who had donated the real estate to build this yeshiva. So he turned to this wealthy man at this big inauguration. Thousands of people were there, the inauguration of the yeshiva, and he said to this wealthy man, "I'm jealous of your merit." So the wealthy man is like, puff, puff, puff. And the short cover Rebbe said to him, "I don't mean the merit that you donated the land for the yeshiva. That's not what I'm talking about. That is, it's coming with a lot of publicity, and you're getting a lot of honor out of it and a lot of prestige out of it. That greatly reduces your reward in the world to come. That I'm not jealous of. But you must have done some other mitzvah that I don't know about and nobody knows about, that as a result of that mitzvah, Hashem gave you the merit to donate the land for this yeshiva. That's the mitzvah that I'm jealous of." That's what the short cover Rebbe said to him, number one. So he built this magnificent yeshiva. Then he was the one who innovated the Daf Yomi. And the Daf Yomi he suggested it to the Chafetz Chaim. The Chafetz Chaim had the backing, and they introduced it, I think it was at the Aguda, at the major Agudas Yisrael meeting, and I think it was 1923, if I'm not mistaken, where Rosh Hashanah of 1923, if I'm not mistaken, everybody starts learning the one daf of brachos, and since then the Daf Yomi has been learned in numerous cycles and it's become a thing. Okay. Reb Meir Shapiro was about 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old. He was talking to another little boy in shul when he's talked to him about this idea of the Daf Yomi. He was already 6 years old, 7 years old. He said, "I've got this idea one day that every Jew in the world is going to learn the same Daf Gemara." There's an old man, there's some, one of these older guys in shul, some old crusty guy in shul, and he walks over to him. He says, "Listen, Yingle, listen, kid, don't go dreaming. Just go learn your chumash over there and don't talk so big, like that. So Meir Shapiro said later in life, what if I would have allowed that guy to extinguish my dreams? Then the Daf Yomi would have never come to the world. And he said it's a rule, never discourage children's dreams. Where do you see it in the Chumash? The Kruvim had their wings spread out high. Who are the Kruvim? They're the children. They're reaching high. They've got dreams. They've got goals. A kid comes to you and he says to you, yeah, one day I want to finish Shas, and I want to, whatever he says, don't discourage him. Don't discourage him. He'll meet reality one day. He'll meet up with reality. He'll see if it's being unrealistic. But don't discourage a child if a child has a dream. Sometimes down the line, you may have to help him out to put it in the proper perspective. And, don't be discouraged because you're not achieving your goals. That happens. But don't go discouraging. He's only a kid. And this is a mistake that mothers make all the time. Kid comes over, his mother, he's 11 years old. He says, Mommy, when I'm 16, I'm going to get a motorcycle. And mother is, motorcycle, are you kidding? And she goes all berserk and everything else, And my kid said that to me. I don't remember what he said it about. He said, Daddy, I want to get a motorcycle. I said, oh, really? What color? Oh, I don't know, maybe a blue one. Oh, yeah, the blue ones are nice. Well, what's going to happen? He's 11 years old. What's going to happen by the time he's 16? Who knows? A lot's going to happen. So don't discourage him. Go what he got, and especially when they have dreams of one day I want to be one of the Gedolei Hador. Say, well, you're not going to be the Gadol Hador. Don't let the kid dream. What's the problem? As long as he's channeling his energy in a positive manner.
What if he wants to be a ball player?
You let him talk. He's a Jewish kid. He's going to be what's he going to play the NBA? Daddy, I want to be in the NBA. Oh, good luck to you. Here, you go. Good luck to you. What do you want to? You want to be? Okay, look, the kid's dreaming about being a ball player. So one day he'll be an agent, and he'll make more than all the ball players, all the Jewish guys, right? Little kids, you don't discourage them. At a certain point, if you see that it's an unhealthy interest, guys, and all he does all day is he practices pitching or he practices basketball. At a certain point, you say, hey, listen, put the ball down and do your homework. Learn some mishnayos, At a certain point, it's intervention. But in general, don't discourage people. Don't discourage people. Sometimes when you reach high, that's when you get to here. By reaching for here, that's why you'll get to here. But if you only reach for here, you're only going to make it to here.
We apply that to like our friends, our peers that are non-child children. They come for us for advice. If they come to you for advice, advise them to go to somebody else for advice. But that's sometimes the best advice you can give them. But if people, sometimes if you think that the guy's being unrealistic, you say you think you're being unrealistic. Guy's overworking because he wants to give Bill Gates some competition. I say, listen, not going to happen so quick. So don't, absolutely. But a person has to know. Sometimes you have to get involved if the kid's being unrealistic. Yeah. All right. Remember, 11 tomorrow, 11:15. Okay, and don't forget the Haggadah rhymes are available at davidbkaplan.com or David B. Kaplan in Gmail. But the Haggadah rhymes, they've changed. People have told me that Mom has changed their pace-ups there. It really gives it a different energy. I'll try to bring some in and bring some in next time. All right, Michael, thank you very much.